You've been told your whole life that being nice gets you ahead. Be polite, be agreeable. Don't rock the boat. Smile, say yes, keep the peace. Now look around you. Look at who's actually winning in business, in relationships, in life. Are they the nicest people you know, or are they the ones who knew exactly when kindness needed to stop? 500 years ago, a man named Niccolo Machiavelli sat in exile, stripped of his position, watching the political games of Renaissance Italy destroy men who were too trusting to survive them. And he wrote something that terrified the powerful and liberated the rest, a book that said plainly that the world does not reward goodness, it rewards strategy, and niceness, when it isn't chosen deliberately, is not goodness. It's often just fear wearing a friendly mask. Today we're going to dismantle one of the most dangerous beliefs you were ever handed, that being nice is the same thing as being good or the same thing as being safe. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why the nice version of you has been quietly working against everything you actually want, and more importantly, what to do instead without becoming someone you don't recognize. Stay until the end because the fourth principle is the one almost nobody gets right, and getting it wrong is how people turn from nice into bitter without ever becoming respected. Let's start with the trap itself. Niceness, as most people practice it, isn't a virtue, it's a strategy for avoiding conflict. You say yes to the extra task at work not because you want to help, but because saying no feels dangerous. You let the friend cancel on you for the 5th time without saying anything, because confrontation feels worse than being taken for granted. You soften every opinion you have until it's unrecognizable, because being agreeable feels safer than being right. Machiavelli saw this exact pattern in the rulers of his time, and he had a name for what happens to people who operate this way. He called them men who mistake the appearance of virtue for the substance of it. They wanted to be seen as good so badly that they became unable to do what was actually necessary to protect themselves, to lead, to make the hard call that a truly capable person has to make. Here's the sentence that got him banned, feared, and quoted for 5 centuries. "It is much safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Not because cruelty is good. He never said that. He said something colder and far more useful, that love is fragile because it depends entirely on the other person's mood, memory, and self-interest, while respect earned through strength and consistency doesn't evaporate the moment it becomes inconvenient for someone else. Think about the last time someone walked all over you. Chances are it wasn't a stranger, it was someone who knew you were nice, who knew you wouldn't push back, wouldn't set the boundary, wouldn't make it costly to disrespect you. Nice people don't get exploited by accident. They get exploited because their niceness has already announced in advance exactly how much they'll tolerate. Now let's talk about where this actually plays out, because this isn't abstract philosophy. This is your Monday morning. Case 1. The workplace. The person who says yes to everything isn't seen as the most valuable, they're seen as the most available. There's a difference. Availability gets exploited, value gets respected. Picture 2 employees. One takes on every extra task without a word, works late without complaint, never pushes back on an unreasonable deadline. The other, just as skilled, occasionally says, "I can't take that on right now. Here's what I can do instead." Who gets promoted? Almost every time it's the second one. Not because they worked less, because they demonstrated they had limits worth respecting, and people only respect limits they can actually see. Case 2. Relationships. The partner who never disagrees isn't experienced as easygoing forever. Eventually, they're experienced as invisible. Machiavelli's insight about fear and love applies just as much to intimacy as it does to politics. A relationship built entirely on one person's agreeableness isn't stable, it's just quiet. Right up until it collapses, usually all at once, because the resentment had nowhere to go for years. You've seen this. Maybe you've lived this. Case 3. Negotiation. Whether it's a salary, a business deal, or just deciding which restaurant to go to for the 10th time in a row, the nice person folds first. Not because their position was weaker, because they valued the appearance of being easy to deal with more than they valued the outcome. And the other side, whether they're doing it consciously or not, can feel that from the first minute of the conversation. So if niceness is the trap, what's the alternative? And this is the part people get wrong. So listen carefully. The answer is not cruelty. Machiavelli never told his readers to become monsters. He told them to become strategic. There's an enormous difference between the two, and confusing them is exactly why so many people who try to stop being nice just end up being unpleasant instead, without gaining any of the respect they were actually after. Here's the actual shift. 4 parts. Write these down if you need to. Principle 1. Stop confusing kindness with compliance. You can be genuinely warm to people and still say no. The two aren't in conflict, you've just been taught they are, because agreeing with everyone was easier than learning to hold a boundary while staying likable. Machiavelli's princes who lasted the longest weren't the cruelest. They were the ones whose kindness was a choice, not a default setting they couldn't turn off. Principle 2. Let your reputation do some of the work for you. Machiavelli understood something modern psychology has since confirmed. People treat you according to what they believe you'll tolerate, and that belief forms fast, usually within the first few interactions. If the first time someone oversteps with you, there's a real cost. A firm word, a withdrawn favor, a boundary that actually holds, they recalibrate immediately. If there's no cost, they don't just repeat it, they escalate it. Principle 3. Stop explaining yourself to people who haven't earned the explanation. This is one of the quiet ways niceness bleeds you dry, over-justifying every decision, every no, every boundary, as if you need permission to have limits. Silence is not rudeness. A short, calm no without 3 paragraphs of apology behind it is one of the most underrated tools you have. Say that to yourself again. Silence is not rudeness. Principle 4, and this is the one people resist the most. Accept that some people will like you less when you stop being endlessly agreeable. That's not a failure. That's the filter working. The people who only valued you for your compliance were never actually on your side. They were on the side of whatever you could do for them. Losing their approval isn't a cost. It's information. Now here's where this gets uncomfortable because I want to be honest with you instead of just telling you what feels good to hear. This shift is not going to feel good at first. If you've spent years building your identity around being the nice one, the reliable one, the one who never causes friction, the first few times you hold a boundary, you're going to feel like a bad person. That feeling is not evidence that you're doing something wrong. It's evidence that you're doing something your nervous system isn't used to yet. Discomfort and wrongdoing are not the same thing, even though they feel identical the first few times you try this. Machiavelli wrote The Prince for rulers who had to make decisions that affected thousands of people in an era where the wrong kind of softness could get you overthrown, exiled, or killed. Your stakes are smaller, but the psychology is identical. The world, your boss, your friends, your family, the people negotiating against you, is not cruel. It's simply responsive. It gives you exactly as much respect as you've demonstrated you require, and not 1 ounce more. So here's what I want you to take from this video. 3 sentences. Being agreeable is not the same as being good. It's often just the path of least resistance, dressed up as virtue. Respect is built through consistency and boundaries, not through being liked by everyone in every room. And the version of you that occasionally disappoints people in service of your own standards will, over time, be trusted, valued, and respected in ways the endlessly nice version of you never was. You don't need to become cold. You don't need to become someone people are afraid of. You need to become someone people can't predict they'll get away with everything from. Because that one shift changes almost every relationship, every negotiation, and every room you walk into for the rest of your life. If this reframes something for you, that's exactly the point of this channel, taking 500-year-old ideas that were written for princes and kings and showing you exactly how they apply to the room you're standing in right now. Subscribe if you want the next one, because next time we're going to talk about the Machiavellian principle almost nobody applies correctly, the difference between being unpredictable and being unreliable, and why one of them will make people respect you while the other will make them abandon you. I'll see you in the next one.